Good morning, everyone. Very happy to welcome you here. And this morning, our forum will use the AI translation. That if you need the English from English to Chinese version or Chinese version to English, please come to our staff here, Cecilia. She will help you to scan the QR code, and you can find the translation on your mobile phone. Thank you very much.现场朋友大家早安。如果有需要这一份那个意大利书式的报告纸本版的话，那欢迎到等一下就是中场休息时间，或者是等一下活动结束以后，都欢迎到那个门口跟我们的同事索取。当然，如果你没有拿到纸本版，也不用担心，他们有电子版。那有需要的话，你们可以留言，那我们再寄给大家。对。我们的活动马上开始。那首先，我们邀请台北书展基金会董事长吴韵仪为大家致辞。
各位出版同业，大家早。Welcome, distinguished guests from Italy, and thank you for joining this event. 谢谢大家今天来参加这一场活动啊。我想台湾不是最大的一个图书市场啊，可是呢，其实我们看到同样不是一个主流市场的意大利，他们有非常亮眼的成绩，他们的人口不是最多的，可是呢出版量是大的，而且呢他们外溢受出版权的数量是大的。那我觉得这些事情它都非常值得台湾的出版界参考啊。我们的市场就这么大，就是2300万人，可是我们有这么好的创作的能力，我们要如何把自己推销出去啊？在全世界都可以这个畅行无阻。其实我们有非常多的事情是需要学习的。我觉得阅读的市场或是 全球的消费市场，它可能是在下降的。可是我们只要是对出版有兴趣的人，都希望能够找到新机会。那今年的主题国是意大利，其实我们应该好好利用这个机会啊，来跟意大利学习。不见得每一件事情它跟台湾都是类似的，可是呢，作为一个不是主流市场，而能够在全世界突围，那这件事情我觉得是非常值得参考的啊。那今天呢，很高兴就是我们邀请到意大利书协有3位非常这个资深的这个专业的人士，还有呢对于意大利市场非常这个了解的这个艾蜜莉来跟大家做这个介绍啊。那我觉得最重要的是说大家可以彼此的交流，我们都是出版人，就是说我们要在这个全世界为自己取经啊。那台湾可能我们有很多的同业，那我觉得每年1年1度的这个国际书展呢，是一个非常好的一个跨国交流、跨国取经的机会。那希望可以大家跟这个今天把握这个机会好好的来跟意大利的朋友们交流学习，让我们未来的台北的台湾的这个出版可以更蓬勃。谢谢大家。
非常谢谢吴韵仪董事长。Thank you so much for the welcome remarks by Chair of Taipei Book Fair Foundation, Isabella Wu. Let's welcome our moderator, Emily Zhang. I think most of you maybe know her very well, and she will come up and to introduce herself. Let's welcome Emily.
Welcome everyone. It's my honor to be the moderator this morning, and because I was a publisher for many years, so for my first time I knew Italian literature very early when I became the editor for Umberto Eco, and about 15 years. And Umberto Eco and Italo Calvino is very famous in Taiwan, so I think it's a very good chance for the readers to know more about Italian market. So in the very beginning, we welcome Bruno to talk about Italian market, to have the overview. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. And once again, thanks for the book fair, for this invitation, for the opportunity to share with you some data concerning the Italian book market. My name is Bruno Giancarlo, as head, and I work for the research department of the Italian Publishers Association. My presentation will be long and very full of numbers, and I know it's not the best thing to do so early in the morning, but I will not read all the numbers. You will see it will be just a presentation, like history of what's behind all these numbers. My presentation will be divided in 4 parts. You'll see some number concerning the Italian book market in general, followed by a presentation of the main genres in Italy, and some of the best-selling titles in Italy in these different genres. Later, we will see some slides concerning reading habits in Italy, and some aspect concerning the role of the artificial intelligence in publishing in Italy from the perspective of the consumers. So let's start with the context, the Italian book market as a whole. The first and most important information, in my opinion, is that publishing is the first Italian cultural industry, followed by pay TV subscriptions, free-to-air TV subscription, video games, magazines, and so on, with total revenues of 3.4 billion euros. Pardon me, all the values you'll see today are expressed in euros, but okay, I think you can make easily the conversion. It's more or less 35 Taiwanese dollar are 1 euro in order to have a comparison. One important thing to say about this comparison is that it is made on a like-for-like basis. It means we are excluding revenues from advertising, for instance, or from hardware. Otherwise, video games will have a much higher value. And the same for the pay TV subscription, obviously. one common aspect of the cultural industries in Italy is the big role of the digital. Digital represents 60, 80, 90% of several of these cultural industries. It does not happen with publishing, as we will see later on. Moreover, okay, this one. Okay, the Italian publishing ranks fourth in Europe. Germany is the biggest market in Europe, followed by the UK, France, and the Italian market precedes the Spanish market. Now, the ranking itself is agreed. I mean, everyone in Europe agrees about the fact that this is the chart of the markets. The values are debatable because, well, every market expresses what is publishing, what isn't publishing in different ways. The UK and France express their markets in terms of publishers' net turnover, while the Italian market is expressed in terms of sales. So it's hard to make the conversion between the publisher net turnover and the sales, the overall sales. Moreover, we are excluding the export in this comparison. Otherwise, the English book market and the French book market will be way higher, and also the Spanish one. But, well, more or less, the important thing you have to remember is that the Italian market is fourth in Europe. I told you that the market is composed of 3.4 billion euros. Here you can see what these 3.4 billion consists of. More or less half of the market is made by the consumer market, both print and digital. Then you can see a very big part of our market, 23%, is made by the educational sector. It is a very, very high percentage. It's not that common in Europe because in Italy, unlike many other countries in our continent, educational expenditures are in charge of families. In Germany, in France, for instance, the educational expenditures are in charge of government, of the single schools, and so on. In Italy, it does not happen. And you can see that the last data we have about the book market as a whole, related to 2023, we have had an overall growth of more or less 1 point, but we have had a very solid performance of the educational market. Now, in the rest of my presentation, I will talk more or less only about half of the Italian market because I think it's the most interesting part for you, the consumer market. Now, this is a slide full of text. I won't read it at all, but it's important to know that in Italy there are 4 major players, Mondadori, Gems, Feltrinelli, and Giunti. They represent more or less 50-55% of the consumer market in Italy. One peculiarity of the Italian book market, once again, it does not happen in the rest of the continent, is that the biggest group in Italy are at the same time owners of the most important chain of bookshops. And it happens with Mondadori, with Giunti, and with Feltrinelli, the most important in Italy chain of bookshops. It also has lots of consequences for the market as a whole, and especially for the small and medium publishers, as you can easily guess. Another peculiarity is that Mondadori and Giunti, and to some extent also Feltrinelli, are also present in the educational sector. Mondadori, the leader in the consumer sector, is also the leading group in the educational sector. If we see at the rest of the market, in the academic and professional, the role of the major groups is not that relevant, even if it is the same important. But obviously, the market isn't made by only 4 major groups. We have lots of many other publishers. Now, it's always hard, at least in Italy, to have a definition of how many publishers we have. To make it more philosophical, what is exactly a publisher. I mean, here we certainly have publishers, these publishers with more than 5 million euros revenues in a year. Here we for sure have publishers, but the more you go to the left in this slide, the more it's complicated. I mean, we have more than 7,000 publishers, I don't know, with less than 100,000 euros of revenues per year. Here we have lots of different enterprises, cultural institutions, and many other things. But what is important is that the publishing sector in Italy is, well, a bunch of many enterprises and creativity, and well, so many enterprises you will see only a small part of our world in this book fair, but a really interesting one. From now on, I will talk only about the sales in the consumer market, and especially in the so-called trade channels. So sales in bookshops, online stores, including the leading one in Italy, that is Amazon, and large-scale distribution. And I talk almost only about print books. I will not talk about digital books unless in one specific slide, but we'll see later on. The first information is that in 2024, our book market has lost 2 points in terms of copies. We sell more or less 100 copies per year, 104 in 2024. But it's interesting to look at data in a midterm perspective. If you look at comparison with the pre-pandemic, with 2019, you can see we have gained 15 points. We have gained 14 million books more sold in compared with not so much time ago. We're talking about 5 years. There are lots of explanations about these huge growth comics, but we'll see later on. But in general, people have started reading more and more during the pandemic, right after the pandemic, especially in 2021. And this huge growth of the market continued in the following years. In terms of sales, we lost 1.5 points compared with 2023, but in real terms, we have lost 2.5 points compared with 2023. Once again, if we make the comparison with 2019, you can see, once again, a 2-digit growth. But it's interesting to notice that the growth in real terms, it's not that big. It means one thing, essentially, that the cost of the books in Italy hasn't increased together with inflation. And that's really good for the consumers, obviously. But it's also a problem for our industry as a whole, because it means that margins for publishers have lowered during the years, and for all the rest of the chain, for bookshops especially, they're suffering because, well, you pay more for light, for electricity, and so on, but the books are sold more or less at the same price. And talking about that, unlike what happens here in Taiwan, in Italy, the price of the books is fixed. I will not talk about the law, but if you are interested in that, I will talk about that later on. So it means that every single channel can sell the books at the same price, more or less. But saying this with simplicity, it is important to understand that changes during the years are not related to the discount the single channel is making. Now, once again, a slide full of numbers, but here it is important to notice how numbers are changing during the years, but also in just looking at the colors, you can see how the different channels have changed during the years between 2007 and 2024. You can see the huge growth of the online stores, especially between 2019 and 2020. obviously, because the bookshops were closed during the pandemic. But you can also see that after the pandemic, the online stores remain more or less at the same levels. On the other hand, you can also see that the trend was pretty clear. I mean, the online stores were gaining market shares during the different years. At the same time, you can see how the large-scale distribution have lost market shares. And it is interesting because in the large-scale distribution, you can intercept the readers with low reading habits. It means we are losing occasional readers, occasional buyers, and then occasional readers. And that's a big transformation of our market that is also pretty clear during the different years. Now you can see the only slide with data concerning the digital market. You can see that if we have lost 1.5 points compared to 2023, if we consider also ebooks and audiobooks, the market is still negative, but a bit less negative. We would have lost only 1 point. Digital in Italy is not that important. It represents roughly 5, maybe 6 points as a whole in the consumer market. It's typical in the southern part of the Europe. If you will look this data concerning other markets like Denmark, Finland, Sweden, you would have a totally different distribution of the different formats. But in Italy, in France, Germany, Spain, data are more or less this kind of percentages. And audiobooks have seen a 3-digit growth during the last 3 years, probably 2021, 22, but the growth has slowed down. Now audiobooks also are stable, and probably the market will not grow that much in the following years. Now I'll go a bit faster, talking about the main genres in Italy. On the left, on the left part of the monitor, you can see how the genres are distributed in Italy. The main genres in Italy is foreign fiction, followed by children books and so on. The fact that children books are the second most important genre in Italy is not obvious because Italy is the oldest country in Europe and the second oldest country in the world, preceded by Japan. So the fact that we have such a solid children books market is not that obvious at all. It means people are investing lots and lots of money in books for children, and it is important because we're talking about, obviously, readers of tomorrow. And it's interesting to notice a small percentage of comics, that is 6%. I think that in Taiwan, the comics market is way higher, but this percentage in terms of sales, in terms of copies, will be more or less 10%. It's probably the best you can see in Europe, if we exclude, obviously, France and maybe Belgium. Italy is a really interesting book market for the comic sector. If you're looking instead at the percentage changes between 2024 and 2023, you can see that essentially only fiction has gained something compared to the previous year. It is a kind of transformation of our market. To some extent, we are seeing a kind of fictionalization of our market. Fiction is gaining more and more, while non-fiction is losing sales, especially for specialist non-fiction. If you think about the academic sector in Italy, is suffering a lot, but it also for the general and manuals and so on. In the next slides, you will see in the left part of the screen some charts and graphs and so on, and in the right part, the top 5 of the bestseller in 2024. What I would like to show you here is that in Italy, the proportion between the Italian and foreign fiction is more or less 44 for the Italian fiction, 56 for the foreign fiction. And the two fiction have grown together during the years, and it is important. It means that at the same time we have started selling more books coming from abroad, but at the same time we have been able to develop an Italian authorship. Here you can see in the top 5. It's not that important to look at the title in itself. You can see titles that has won the most important prize in Italy, that is the Premio Strega, one of the most important. Well, it's not a matter of which is most important. And it's interesting that the best-selling titles of 2024 was also the best-selling title of 2023. It's called La Portaletta. It's not that common. That book has been the one that in the previous years has been able to compete with the biography of Prince Harry, that was one of the most important bestsellers worldwide in 2023. Now, here, comics. Once again, it's not important to read at the numbers, just look how the market has grown incredibly between 2019 and 2023. To be honest, the growth has been especially in 2020 and 2021, but it was a 3-digit growth. Comics have been the great phenomena of these years in Italy, driven by mangas. It has been a very, very important phenomena in our market, especially Japanese manga, but also Korean and other less importantly. What it's important is that not only manga has grown, but also comics for children. And as you can see, just looking at the top 5, 4 of the 5 titles are made by the same author, that is called Peratoons. There are books that are to be translated because we are talking about humorism for children, lots of nonsense and so on. But children in Italy are crazy about that. These titles are bestsellers in every year. It is something that is here to stay, it seems. But in the first position, you can see a graphic novel, probably made by the most important, or at least the most known graphic novelist in Italy, that is Zero Calcare. I don't know if it is also known in the Taiwanese market. Now, here you can see some number concerning nonfiction. Now, it's not that important in itself, but it's nice to notice that also the bestseller of the year, that is a book concerning the Bible. In the subtitle, you cannot read that. It's written that is the novel of the Bible. Also, the non-fiction is becoming a bit more fiction when we are talking about the bestsellers. In the rest of the chart, you can see books concerning, for instance, in the 4th position, the war between the invasion of Israel, of the Palestinian made by Israel, or books concerning a very important feminist author in Italy that died recently, that is Michela Murgia. If we look at manuals, self-help and so on, in Italy, they are suffering a bit in 2024. They have lost 4 points, even if in 2023 there have been a huge growth compared to the previous years. When we talk about self-help in Italy, we talk essentially of books concerning cook, for instance. You can see in the 2nd and 4th position. But in recent years, there are lots of books concerning how to find happiness, how to avoid loneliness, and so on. It wasn't that common in the previous years, but it is a phenomenon that awakened in the recent years. The last chart I wanted to show about this kind of numbers is the one concerning children books. When we talk about children books in Italy, as I said, it's a very important part of our book market, and then Paola will show you some number concerning the internationalization that will be probably even more interesting. But the one peculiarity of the Italian market, not only of the Italian book market, is that when we talk about books for children, we are talking essentially, or for the majority, for books for young children. Children up to 5 years. The majority of our market is made for these ages. And when the market grows, the growth is made only by this sector. It means that while children get older and older, it seems, at least looking at numbers, that they are reading less. Or at least our interpretation, but it is a very simple interpretation, is that insofar as they start finding smartphones, YouTube, and so on, they spend more time in devices than with books. In the top 5, you can find in the first position a book concerning a history of an important public minister killed by mafia in Italy, that is Giovanni Falcone, history for books for children of 10 years. And in the third position, I don't know if it's that common also in other markets, you can see a dictionary. Generally, a dictionary is in the first position. And to some extent, it's interesting to find that even in 2024, dictionary developed such an important role in the education of children, or at least it's what we think. Now, there are a few slides missing, and talking about reading habits in Italy, you can see that reading habits are decreasing as we've decreased in the last year. We've lost 2 points, but it's not that important to look how numbers change from one year to the other, but it's probably more important to look how the reading habits are distributing among demographic variables. In Italy, when we talk about reading, we are talking about reading made by women, essentially. You can see reading, if on average is 66%, there are 12 points of difference between women and men. And you can also see that the youngest readers, the youngest part of population is where we have, at the moment, slightly higher reading habits, even if also this number are decreasing during the last years. But if more than numbers concerning the reading habits in itself, even because it's not that important to know how many people have read at least one book in the year, or at least for what I think it's not the main indicator of reading habits in one country. One number that make us worry is that the time spent on reading is decreasing during the years. It does not reach 3 hours per week. That is not that much. And not so many time ago, in 2022, it was more than half an hour more than how it is in 2024. It means that not only reading habits are decreasing, but the time spent reading is decreasing. And well, this slide does not say something so different by the previous one, that also reading frequency has also decreased in the last years. Only 70% of readers is able to read at least a few times a week. And also this percentage is decreasing during the last year, at least making a comparison with 2022. Obviously, this these numbers are related only to the population that read at least one book in the previous year. Now, I'll just show you just 2 slides more concerning artificial intelligence. I will not show you numbers concerning how publishers are developing artificial intelligence, because at least in Italy we do not own this kind of numbers, and also publishers that are developing artificial intelligence are, well, a bit jealous about the researches they're making. We have made something a bit different, therefore, that is, we've asked to the consumers what are they thinking about the artificial intelligence and the impact of the artificial intelligence in publishing. When we ask which genres will be most influenced by the generative artificial intelligence, you can see that for the Italian population, at the first place there are travel guides, and we were with Lorenzo in the airport yesterday. We were talking about the fact that probably the last travel guides he was reading concerning Taiwan probably was written by an artificial intelligence. But also cookbooks and self-help books are, in the Italians' opinion, the most affected by the impact of the artificial intelligence. And that's a problem. I mean, we have also seen, not in Italy, but for instance in the US, how a cookbook made by artificial intelligence can lead to very serious consequences. But I'll leave you with these last slides, that is the assessment of the impact of the artificial intelligence between the population as a whole, readers, and the strong readers. We have made a list of assessments asking how much, if the readers agreed with these assessments. I will read only some of them. For instance, the first, when we say, I would like to know clearly whether the contents of the book I read or buy were created using artificial intelligence, 91% of strong readers strongly agree with this assessment. The readers or the rest of the population are less, agree a bit less with this assessment. But one other interesting is the last one, probably, at least for publishers, that when we say, I will never read or buy an AI-generated book, more or less 1/3 of the population say that will never read or buy this kind of content. But strong readers are the ones more conservative, don't know, maybe, that say that they will never read. They're almost half of the total. And it tells us something about the tastes, the preferences of readers in Italy. And for what concern conclusions, I do not have any, because I've spent so much time making presentation of data and so on. If you want to see also something more, there's the site of the research department where you can find more presentations, more data. Most of them are in Italy, but if you want, feel free to write me or anything else you can find on the site. Thank you for your attention, and enjoy the book fair.
So thanks for Bruno's sharing about then we have an overview of Italian book market. And so now it's QA time. Is anyone have a question about the Italian market? And yeah, and because I went to Italian book fair and Italy many times, so I have a question about the first time I went to the Torino because in Italy they have a book fair in Turin, and I went there 3 times. And they divide to have a very big rice center, and then have the exhibition and for readers, and they like a tent. They have like a few tents. Then the first time I went, I was a little bit shocked because there are so many readers. They are buying books, and carry some like a small truck and take to buy many books. So I have a question. Do you have the discount in the book fair, or also do you have a discount in the bookstores?
No, they do not have the discount or at least the law in Italy says that books can be sold with a maximum discount of 5%, regardless the channel you are selling the books, with some exception, libraries or special periods of the years. But also in the book fair, you'll pay the book exactly, making some simplification, how you would pay that on Amazon or in a bookshop, and that's a good thing for the publisher that is selling the book. Talking about book fairs, in Italy we have maybe a little jewel that is the Rome Book Fair, that is only for small and medium publishers. So if first I've show you the 4 most important groups. In the Rome Book Fair, you can see only books by small and medium publishers, and it is important because it is once again a big chance to show also this part of the production that is also really important for our sector.
Oh. Yeah, because in Taiwan, the new book we have a 25% discount in the bookshop, and in the book fair also have a big discount. So that's why I feel very shocked. There's no discount. Why so many people come to buy books? Yeah.
There are lots of people that go there to buy a book that will pay exactly the same in other place. But well, it's also a matter of the experience, find the authors and so on. The book fair is a big part of the sector.
So, yes. Any other questions about the Italian market? And okay, I have another question because we talk about in Italy have the 4 biggest the publishing group, the Veterinary, Mondadori, Giunti, and the GEMS, and 3 of them they have a big bookstore chains. So when I was in Italy, I saw many the bookshops. So, and how can the small publishers they survive in this big publishing group? Also, they have the bookshops to display the books.
Well, probably you can easily guess the answer, but well, Lorenzo Armando, that is also the president of the Small Publishers in the Italian Publishers Association, probably will be more indicated than me to answer to this question. But yes, it is a very big problem for a small publisher, and not only for the very small publishers, also for medium publishers. It's really hard to enter to the biggest chains. The economic conditions are terrible for a small publisher, and it means that, at the same time, it's difficult also to enter to the independent bookshops because well, they're small and it is hard to find them all. And for small publishers, the online stores and the book fairs are probably more important than for the biggest group. But yeah, it's really hard to find books of 700 small publishers in Feltrinelli, Mondadori, and yeah, it is one of the difficulties of our chain, of the publishing chain in Italy.
And for the online bookstore, the sales it increased to about almost 40% of the total sales in Italy. But the online bookstore are the same, belong to this big publishing group, or they have a different big online bookstore?
Well, the Mondadori, for instance, has its own online shops, but well, when we talk about online shop, the same Feltrinelli, but well, it's Amazon, the most important one, and I mean, a small publisher can also sell its book through the other online shops, but well, it's Amazon. I don't know the percentage, but probably 90-80% of the online channels. But for a small publisher, if as a whole online represent 40% of the market, for a small publisher, the share of the online channel is way bigger, generally.
In Taiwan, we don't have Amazon online bookshop, so we have another bookstart.com in Taiwan. So any other questions?
我提醒一下，可以用中文提问，就是讲师有另外的翻译软体会翻成他看得懂的语言，所以现场观众可以踊跃提问。
谢谢。我想要问一个问题，就是说那个意大利的出生率好像跟台湾一样，就是也是在下滑的一个趋势。那不知道就出版界的看法，会有任何的想法可以提出说之后可能因应这样的问题，可以做出什么样的事情吗？谢谢。
Well, it is one of the biggest problem in Italy. I mean, it's such a big problem that, well, the publishing industry by itself cannot solve it. But despite that, well, what can we do? No, there is lots of concern about that. What we are trying to do, for instance, is trying to develop more and more the reading habits through the youngest readers. Probably Lorenzo will talk about that later on. We have a very important public-private initiative made by the Italian Publishers Association concerning how to develop reading habits in Italy. But yes, if in a mid-term perspective, I think, if I'm not wrong, every year we lose something like 80,000 children. It's something terrible compared to the previous year. I don't remember exactly the numbers, but yeah, it is such a big problem that it's not only for the publishing sector, but for all the industry in general. I mean, I don't know if it is enough to answer, but it's a big theme.
Any other questions? 还有没有什么其他问题？如果大家去意大利旅行的时候，如果有看到什么关于跟书有关的或者一些疑问，也可以提出来。Any? No.
我想了解，就是现在意大利的书的那个出刷的音量是不是有下滑？第二个是意大利大部分都用什么样的媒介来做行销 marketing？
Okay. It's true. I haven't shown you numbers concerning how many books are sold for each title, but generally speaking, but it is an average. We can say that for each title, 2,000 books per title, but it is really an average. I mean, for big groups, it is way higher. For small groups, for the smaller publisher is lower. Even because in Italy we are trying to develop a bit more the print on demand, but it really depends by the kind of publisher and so on. even because the number of new titles published per year, if we exclude the self-publishers, it's roughly 69,000 new titles per year, and the number has increased during the last years. So the average number of books printed and made available to the market per title has been decreased during the last years. But and if I have understood the second question about marketing in Italy, well, it depends about the genre and the dimension of the publisher, but the great phenomena in Italy in the recent years has been TikTok. But when we talk about TikTok, we are not talking about marketing made by the publisher, but marketing that happens for the publisher. And it has driven sales of lots of bestsellers that really came completely out of the blue, thanks to TikTok. Other kind of traditional marketing are losing interest. For instance, in newspapers, marketing in newspapers is almost useless, at least for in terms of sale. In terms of criticism and importance for the intellectual sector, it still has some importance. We do not make so much marketing with television, but probably the most important part is just trying to develop your marketing with online stores, on Amazon, essentially, and trying to be good with other social. But now TikTok has such a big disruption for the book market that still the situation is evolving.
Yeah, when I went to the Italian to visit the bookshop, also have a TikTok, bestseller chart.
Yes.
Yeah, so I said,
It-
because in Taiwan, the TikTok, we don't use TikTok so much for the promotion.
Yeah. But talking about that and going back to the previous question, TikTok has been a kind of revolution for market because it has made so many young readers became more confident with reading habits. It was not so common in previous years. Lots of romance, for instance, that they've made more and more readers, more young people became readers, and it wasn't something so obvious, not at all. And it has been important in order to make young people become more confident. But it's weird to say TikTok bestsellers in a bookshop, but it works.
Yeah, I found in Italy, romance become the huge market. In something like we don't have this huge romance market, but we have a very huge light novel and BLO novels for younger generation. Yeah. Any other questions? And I have another question because in Taiwan we only have one trade market. So basically it's a paperback. But when I work with Italian publishers, I found they have many formats. Yeah, can you talk more about this?
It's a complicated question, but probably Lorenzo will be able to answer later on. Generally, but it is a classical rule. It is not always true. We generally have a first edition in a hardcover. And when the book has finished its life cycle, the publisher decides to go for the paperback, even if to give you a second life, and sometimes a third life, and so on, new editions. But it is true for probably more for the biggest publishers. But I mean, in this distinction works better for countries with more readers. I mean, in France, this thing is more solid. You have the hardcover, then the paperback, the mass paperback, and so on. Because it helps to develop reading habits when reading habits are already high. In Italy, this kind of things is relevant, but I don't. Probably Lorenzo will have to say something more later after his presentation.
Yeah, because I work with the Italian and the French, American, UK publisher, and I found they have many formats. And as a publisher, I feel, if in Taiwan we have so many formats, one hardcover and a paperback pocket, and the other kind of edition, the book can have continue to like a new book, or the big range for people, to readers. So I'm thinking how Taiwan can become like this relevant market.
Yeah.
So any other questions?
你好，感谢那个精彩的分享。想要问更多关于绘本这个类别的一些趋势，然后以及现在因为少子化的关系，可以看到说很多绘本都越来越往比如说全年龄向这样子的方式去创作跟发展。不知道在意大利的状况如何？
Also, it means because now there's not so many children born, so there's now in Taiwan we don't divide the age group for children's book. And how about in Italy?
No, can you repeat the question? Sorry, I was trying to read and.
Yeah, because now in the because there are not so many children, so she want to ask the children's book the trend, because in Taiwan now we don't divide so much about the age. Because sometimes the children were 0 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 8, this kind of age group. But now mainly we publish like for all the.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. I mean, it's a kind of philosophical matter. I mean, to some extent, these kind of divisions are not so fixed. I mean, it's more a commercial distinction more than something so important. I mean, just to make a silly example. In the group of books for children between 10 and 14 years, you will find Harry Potter. I don't know, it's debatable if we can consider Harry Potter a book for children. And at the same time, sometimes it is a matter of marketing of the publisher. For what I know, in Italy, we do not have books for children of all the ages. Publishers try to appeal to a specific group, but we have also lots of illustrated books, but generally the taste of the illustrator his art is try to be very specific for each kind of group of age. It's for what I know, we do not have a book from 0 to up to 99 years or from 0 up to 14 years. I mean, but it's it's in my opinion, it's more a matter of marketing. If you go in the gray shades between, I mean, that's not such a big difference between a book for 5 years and for 6 or 7 years is a choice of the publisher if you want to compete in a certain part or not, or if you want to be in a specific chart, or if you want to be in another. it's more tacticism to some extent. I don't know if I have answered to the question, but.
因为其实如果分年龄层也是出版社的一个行销方式，就是帮父母区别好那个年龄层。但其实作为出版社，我们最喜欢出的是0到99岁的书。好，还有什么其他问题吗？如果没有的话，我们就谢谢 Bruno， 谢谢你的分享。Thank you very much. Now we will welcome Paula to talk about the internationalization. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Thank you for the invitation and thanks to Emily. I'm Paola Seghi from the Italian Publishers Association, and after Bruno's presentation about an overview of the general market in Italy, I will present some data about the import and above all the export of Italian rights, which has increased a lot over the last 20 years. And we will see how we succeed in reaching this number. But before looking at some numbers, I would like to underline two aspects that can help you understanding better the data. The first one is that as we have seen with Bruno's presentation, in Italy the book market is characterized by a low reading rates. And the other one is that differently from other publishing market, we cannot count on a significant Italian speaker market abroad. So of course in this context, the selling of Italian rights abroad has a certain importance for our publishers. We will, sorry, I'm not so, okay. So we will talk about, maybe you can hear me without microphone? No, I have to use it. Okay, about the trend of the sale and purchases of Italian publishing rights between 2001 and 2023. The rights sales for 23 are analyzed by genre, so fiction, non-fiction, and so on, by geographic area, and also by language of translation. Then we will talk about the co-edition, which is another aspect of the internationalization process of our industry, and also about the creation or participation by Italian publishers in publishing houses abroad. And the last part of my presentation will be about the grants for translating Italian books abroad. So I hope to give you some important and useful information. This is the first chart. Well, one thing, we start from 2001 for two reasons. The first one is that it was the year when the Italian Publishers Association started to analyze the import and export of Italian rights. And the second one is because in that period, more or less, yes, around that year, we started as association a collaboration with the Italian Trade Agency, which is the public body supporting the development of our industry abroad, not only of the book sector. And starting from that period, also the book sector is supported by them. So it's thanks to the Italian Trade Agency that, for example, we can organize the collective exhibition abroad or the incoming of foreign publishers to the main Italian book fairs. So looking at the number, we see so that there is an important, quite impressive growth of the selling of rights. In 2001, we sold 1,800 titles, and in 2003, which is the last research we did, because we always do this research in the second part of the year. So the last data that we have refer to the 23, and in 23 we sold almost 8,000 titles. As you can see, we continue to buy more than we sell, but the gap between the two numbers has narrowed consistently. And we have to say that in some segments the tables have turned. For instance, we sell more children's books than we buy. 2020 was a unique year because of the pandemic. Of course, the book fair were closed, but we had a big support from the public sector, which helped our publishers a lot to sell books also in that period. So if we look at the data, we have also to say that we had a very important transformation during the years in the publishing catalogs. I mean, we see that in 2001, we only 4% of our titles was sold abroad, while now the percentage is 11, and this is also thanks to the work of the publishing houses and to the authors, because we have to say that under this number there is this transformation. Starting from the late 19, our publishers started to be more focused on Italian authorship. And on the other hand, Italian authors started to write books that we can say that maybe are more interesting also for a foreign audience, with the development of the so-called popular fiction. Another reason of the growth in the sales of Italian rights is due to the children book sector, because children's books, as Bruno has already said, is really an excellence in our industry. And so also the sales of rights in this sector helped the whole industry. In this case, we have to say that we are lucky to have in Italy the Bologna Children's Book Fair. I think that many of you know this exhibition, because so we are lucky. Our publishers are lucky because every year they can meet the best of the Italian of the world publishing in Italy. So, looking at what we sell above all children and young adult books, as I was saying, followed by fiction. And children and fiction together, they are almost 55% of our export. And then we have general non-fiction and all the others. We can say that the selling also of comics is increasing in the last years, because comics in general are increasing also in the domestic market. So with regard of what we buy above all fiction books, then children, non-fiction, and all the others. Well, there is not more to say about this data. It's this one, I think it's more interesting also for you. This is where we sell our translation rights. So Europe is our main market, and it's followed by Asia, and then Middle East, South America, and North America. Here you can see that the gap between Europe and Asia is still huge. But we see that Asian publishers are more and more interested towards our publishing. Here you don't see the data, but I can tell you that this 15% in 2020 was 10%. So there is an increase, and we hope that also this participation here in Taipei will help from this point of view. So Europe is also the main market where we buy books, followed by North America. When we talk about North America, it means for us essentially US market, and in Europe, UK. This is something similar to other European countries. We buy a lot from the English language markets. And we will see that we don't sell so much in the English market. Here you have the top 10 languages in which Italian authors are translated on the left, and on the right the first 10 languages from which we translate. And as you can see, the lists are very different. So on the left, the first language in which we are translated is Spanish, and it's followed by Chinese, then French, Russian, English, and other European languages. Taiwan is a little below right now with 96 books. And if we see this part of the monitor, we see that we buy from the English market for the 62%. So, and as I was saying, we sell only the 7%. Here you don't find Taiwan because we right now again we sell only few titles, few dozens, maybe a few dozens. I look at Bruno, who is the man of the number. So co-edition, it's we have here two slides about other aspects of internationalization of our industry. The first one is about co-edition. Here you have the data from 2019 and to 2023. And you can see that co-editions in these years have decreased slightly with the pandemic. Here I just would like to bring to your attention two figures for 23. The first one is that 73% of co-editions are children's and young adult books. 79% are done in Europe and 2% in Asia. Well, this is a slide about the presence of Italian companies abroad. As you can see, all the four big publishing group, Mondadori, Feltrinelli, Giunti, and GEMS, they have companies abroad, but we have also some small and medium publishers who are active abroad. They all have companies above all in Europe, but not only. So someone is also outside Europe. So the second part of the presentation is about the grants for translation of book by Italian authors into foreign languages. In Italy, we have 3 different bodies giving grants for the translation of Italian books. The first one is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. Then we have the grants by the Center for Books and Reading, which is an independent institute of the Ministry of Culture. And then there are some grants offered by the CEPS, which is a no-profit association giving grants only for non-fiction books. So the first one is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They started to issue a call annually in 1990. The call is generally in March, so next month there will be the new one, and they support the translation of Italian work not yet translated and published abroad. They can also be in digital format. They accept all the languages, although each year there are some priority languages, and very often they are linked to the participation of Italy of guests of honor abroad. For example, last year and also maybe 2 years ago, German was one of the priority languages for this reason, because we were guests of honor in Frankfurt last October. Here the applications are done by the foreign publishers or by the translators, and are done through the Italian embassy in every country, through its Italian Cultural Institute. For Taiwanese publishers, well, you can refer to the office in Taipei, the Italian Economic Trade and Cultural Promotion Office in Taipei, very long, and here you have the link. You can find also the annual call on another website. I will talk later about this website. I just give you the name. It's newitalianbooks.com, where there is a section about translation funding. So I will not go into the specific application procedure. I just tell you that there is a list of documents that you have to include in the application, including a description of the project and of how you think to promote the book, the translation of the books. And payment are made after the publication of the translation work. That needs to happen within 3 years. So starting from 2020, also the Center for Books and Reading has support the translation of Italian books. Oops, sorry. Le mani. Thank you. The Center for Books and Reading is an independent institute of the Ministry of Culture. The purpose is the same as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, so it is to support the translation of Italian books, but the procedures are completely different, because here it's the application are done by Italian publishing houses or Italian literary agencies on behalf of the foreign publishers. the call is an annual call and very important. We have a call which is the actual one is open until the 25th of February. You can apply for each kind of book and all languages are accepted. In this call, priority is given to translation into English, French, Spanish, German, and Chinese, both complex and simplified. In the last year, we have 2 Taiwanese companies which applied successfully. One is Locus Publishing for a fiction book by Elena Ferrante, and Emily for a children book. So an important thing is that if a translation project has received funding from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, you cannot apply for funding to the Center for Books and Reading and vice versa. So you have to choose. Again, here you find the link. The first one is the website of the Center for Books and Reading, but it's only in Italian. So you find all the information again on newitalianbooks.it. And here we have the CEPS, which is a non-profit association. They work with university, publishers, and authors, and they support the translation only of non-fiction books for the so-called works of high cultural value. Here you can apply all the year. They give you an answer more or less within 150 days, and again also here you have to present some documents together with the application. You have all the information on their website. They have an English version. So here we have again some numbers. So last year, as an association, we wanted to understand if and how the translation grants helped the selling of Italian rights. And we did research on the use of the grants provided by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and by the Centers for Books and Reading. Well, I didn't say that in last year the total amount of the funding of the two ministries together for the support of translation was almost 1 million euro. Here you see that there is a growing number of publishers claiming to use public subsidies to sell rights abroad. So from the 38% in 22 to 34% in 2023. And here you see that looking at the number, there is an increase. So both in the number of publishing houses using the grants, because they were 75 in 21 and 103 in 2023. And there is an increase, an important decrease in the number of titles published thanks to these grants. They were 392 in 21 and 546 in 2023. But we also wanted to analyze which kind of Italian publishing houses uses this contribution. And we saw that more than half of the publishers are small and medium-sized companies. So here you can see from the different color the size of the company. And so we can say that these policies, even if, so I always said that we can always do better, but they have proven to be an important aid also for the small and medium-sized company, which, well, in Italy, I don't know if it's the same here, but they have more difficulties in approaching the foreign markets. So every grant can help. And looking at the titles, we see that more than half of the titles that have received a grant are novels, followed by non-fiction, children's, and then comics. So just to summarize, we have seen many data. So if we want to recap how Italian publishing has become so international, we can mention 4 factors. So the transformation in the publishing catalogs, the need of our publisher to expand their market, because we only speak Italian in Italy, not abroad. The collaboration between the public and the private sector, and the translation funding. Well, this is a last slide to give you some website where you can find some more information about Italian publishing. The first one is the website of the Italian Publishers Association. As Bruno said, we have an English section with some data and info on the Italian book market. Then newitalianbooks.it, which is a website promoted by several institutions and with the collaboration of the association. Here you find information about the market, about the main event, about authors. But above all, there is a section in English and also in other languages, but well, in English, about the translation funding that we have seen. So you find all the information here. And there is also a section promoting the translation of Italian titles recommended by their Italian publishers. And then I have included the website of the 3 main book fairs in Italy. I don't know if you know all of them. The first one is the Bologna Children's Book Fair, which is in between March and April. This is the most important book fair for children's sector in the world, but they started 5 years ago a new project called Bologna Book Plus, which is a new section of the book fair for the general trade publishing. They have an invitation program, so you can find all the information on their website. Then, well, the 3 book fairs are chronologically. So Bologna is March and April. In May, we have the Turin Book Fair, which is the main book fair for general public in Italy. And they also have an invitation program. They organize a Write Center and a fellowship. And again, here you have the link of the website. And then LPL, which is the Rome Book Fair. This is the book fair organized directly by the Italian Publishers Association. And it is devoted only to small and medium-sized publishers. We have a Write Center, and we invite every year more or less 60 foreign publishers, thanks to the Italian Trade Agency. We offer 3-night accommodation and the flight, the the table in the right center. And we have also a fellowship running 2 days before the book fair for a smaller group of publishers coming to Rome to visit publishing houses. And then I didn't put on the slide, but I take the occasion because they are here. There is IT Publishing, which is quite a new company in Italy, promoting Italian publishing abroad, and they have they exhibit in the Italian pavilion here. So if you need some information, you can talk to them. Well, that's all.
Thanks for Paula's sharing. So, do you have any questions about the? Thank you.
First of all, sorry for being so late, but we were busy at the pavilion with trying to solve late-minute emergency. But thank you very much, Paola, for this. I would like to underline that thanks to your contribution, the cooperation that you have with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, also we are managing this fund for translation, and so all the Taiwanese friends can come and visit us in order to discuss possibility for creating cooperation in translation Italian books. And also, I would like to thank very much Paola for coming and for what she's doing and for her passion in making our presence so special. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Well, I think the 3 book fair, I went to Bologna and Turin and not yet Rome. So maybe.
So you have to come.
Yes. And actually in Turin, I went to the fellowship already 3 times. I was invited once, and then I feel very interesting, so I come back again and again. So it's a really interesting market, so I recommend the Taiwanese publisher can apply the fellowship program and to have a look. They can have a general idea about the Italian market.
Thank you.
Welcome. And also for the grant, because when I was publisher, I published many translated fiction, and then I start to apply some grants. Then I can have more chance to publish more good translated fiction in Taiwan's market. So I also highly recommend you to apply the grant and to publish the book. You feel it's really good, but maybe down in Taiwan, the translated fiction market is shrinking. So it's a good help. Then can have more readers, can understand more Italian, the literature, the culture. Any question about the, I have a question about the growing of the book translator to outside countries from 4% up to 11.
Yes, in 20 years.
But Taiwan's slowly. Maybe can share more experience about how to grow.
Well, there are many factors because, as I was saying, starting in the 90s, we started to have the support for the translation because the Ministry of Foreign Affairs started in that period to support translation. We started to work with the Italian trade agency, so we started to go abroad with collective exhibition. Of course, the publishers go abroad also alone, and they went also before that date. But in that period, we started to have an annual program to go to the different book fairs, and then there are the editorial reasons. So the the catalogs that have changed a lot. And yeah.
So I think it's to attend the different international book fair, also to the cultural exchange. It's very important.
It's very important, and also being guest of honor helped a lot in some cases. In 2002, we were guest of honor in France. France was already one of maybe the most important book market for us in the exchange. But that participation helped really a lot in the following years. And the same we saw when we went as guest of honor to Guadalajara in Mexico. It was, if I'm not wrong, 2008, something like that. And in the following years, the translation into Spanish grew a lot. So.
Yeah, I found the gap between you translate a lot of foreign books and the books translate. It's getting smaller and smaller.
Yes, but also because our publishers now are more focused on Italian authors. So we see also in the tables in the number of Bruno. If we look at the books sold last year in Italy. There are many Italian authors among the first place. So.
Yeah, so I think the healthy market is you have enough your books, and then you have a more healthy. Yeah. So it's really highly recommend Taiwanese publisher can do this one. Any other questions? If we maybe we'll go to the next section.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now we welcome Lorenzo to talk about the public support. Thank you.
So I'm looking for a presentation. Can you help me?
Yes.
Okay, the next page. Yeah, there's a point. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the invitation. And in my presentation, there will be less numbers and more discussion, I think. What was asked to me, well, I present myself, just a few words. My name is Lorenzo Armando. I'm the Vice President of the Italian Publisher Association. And in particular, I'm the President of a small publisher group. This dialectic between the four main groups, editorial main groups, and the small publishers, so highly represented in our market has been already underlined by Bruno in his presentation. And so I'm somehow the point of reference of this wild world of small and medium publishers in Italy. And so what we discuss now is well, it's quite a long text, and but I'm going to read it in just a few words, because well, how public can help publishing sector, and is it necessary that there is a public policy about editorial publishing industry? Well, it's been already underlined that Italy is a country historically characterized by low reading rates. When we say this, we compare us with other European countries, but also, let's say, USA and Canada and so on. So this is the first point that already been underlined. And this is also why public support in this sector is essentially being directed towards broadening this reader base in Italy in particular, with measures such as the fund, and this is what I'm going to explain later on, the fund for the purchase of books by public libraries, and vouchers for 18 years old to spend on cultural consumption, especially things that we call the 18 up, 2018 up, until 20 and 23, a measure taken up in other several European countries as model, while we are still pending a system law that has long been requested for the overall publishing sector. But in the face of the growing complexity of the supply chain, I don't know if this is a problem also in your country, in Asia in general, but it is in Italy, and I say also in other European countries, and the urgency to innovate, to ensure solidity and liveliness in the sector. We are beginning to think about measures that also concern enterprise and companies, not only to broaden the reading rates, especially, and this is my point, special point, the middle and small ones that characterize the Italian system, as I was saying before, also in the sector of a cultural and creative industry, and I will say some words about this particular definition of a cultural and creative industries. So, we have a law. It's not completely true that we don't have a law about this industry and cultural industry sector. It's a law of 2020. It's called Provisions for the Promotion and Support of Reading, and in the title you already understand what's the focus. There are two principles that I summarized in this way. The importance of reading as a means for development of knowledge, the dissemination of culture, the promotion of the civil, social, and economic progress of the nation, and education and welfare of citizens. I don't know if every people here agree with this definition, but the point is that the law, Italian law, strengthened the importance of reading in this way as a point of the welfare and of citizens in general. Is it true? Is it not true? Well, we can discuss this. But also in the second principle, what was stated in this law is that it forwarded incentives for the production, preservation, circulation, and enjoyment of books as preferential tools for access to content and its dissemination. Is it true the books are the preferential tools for access and to content and its dissemination? Well, this is maybe something that we can discuss. Maybe books is obviously a tool that has a long history, is a story of unbelievable success as a tool, but maybe it's not to be for the future and for so many years. For the moment, in Italy, the law says that this is the preferential tool for access to content and dissemination, as well as for the improvement of indicators of equitable and sustainable well-being. Okay, and there were some measures apart from these principles that were stated by this law. Implemented a national action plan for the promotion of reading. Again, promotion of reading, not for the industrial sector, but for the promotion of reading. And the funding was devoted to the Center for Books of Reading that Paola already cited before about the international projects that has been supported by this center, that is an independent institution of our Ministry of Culture. So the Center for Books of Reading received some funding for a national action plan for promotion of reading. Then there are stated in this law the local covenants for readings say that there are local administration that should implement covenants for, again, implement reading. Was established a year award, Italy's Books Capital. There were the promotion of reading at school, again, promotion of reading in particular in the schools. We also, following this measure, there were promoted some action. Maybe we are talking about this later. And then I highlighted it in red. This is just one important measure that also has already been cited on a different plan, on a market important measure that established that in Italy, since 2020, there can be more than a 5% discount for all sales channels of books. Before this year, there were a possibility of major discounts. So, for example, in online bookstores, you could find at 20–15% discounts. Since this year, mainly for the pressure of independent bookstores that were damaged by this politics of online stores, there was established that no more than 5% could be discounted for the fixed price of books. That, as has already been said, in Italy we have a fixed price on the books, printed on the books, and this is a low disposal, while this is different in Taiwan, we discovered in the webinar that was organized before this exhibition. There are some exceptions for school textbooks and sales made to libraries and for limited promotional campaigns, but this is an important point, and this is the only point in this law that was concerning the market, the function of the market, and not the promotion of reading. So this, apart from this law of 2020, there are some measures that has been promoted by the government, and that are not linked to this law that I mentioned before. The most important one, and the most discussed also one, is that what we call the bonus 18 up, 18 up. That was established in the 27, and they lasted 5 years. For 5 years, it has been implemented in Italy, and here is explained how it works. There are 500 euros given to all newly 18 years old people. They could spend in cultural ways, so books, including audiobooks and e-books, but also access to museums, exhibitions, cultural events, monuments, and so on. You can read it all. And since 2023, due to a change of government in Italy, the new government substituted this bonus called 18 up with two cards, called youth culture cards and merit cards. That works very differently from the bonus 18 up, because the culture card was for 18 years old, residing and belonging to households with income limit that should be properly certified. So it was reserved, it was not universal, but was only to a selected part of the population of 18 years old people. And this income limit to receive this card and this amount of money should be properly certified. And this obviously complicated the procedure. And the other card was called the merit card, the same amount, 500 euros, for young people graduating with 100. So the best student only could receive this amount. So this was obviously can be easily understood that this is a political important difference between these kind of measures, and I wrote down in the slide some issues. The first one is obviously that bonus up was a universal measure for everybody, rich, poor, of every kind of family, while the other two measures are a selection and are reserved to some part of the population. So, or you are, let's say, poor family, or you are a very good student. And this is right, this is wrong. Well, we discuss in Italy about this. Then other issues. In particular, these cultural bonuses are spent by people, young people, only on books or partly on books. So what are the percentage of these books? We have the data is not so easily to be collected, but we know how much this was important for books, and we'll talk about this later. How many people, young people, effectively used these cards and this bonus. It was easy or not easy. It was really capable to join and to be accessed by all the most part of the young people or not. Obviously, this is linked to the easiness of use. And as I'm going to say after, this is not the same. The bonus, the shot up was very easy to be used, unlike the other two cards that I mentioned before. These measures have all had an actual impact on reading rates. This is the most difficult part to be the data to be collected. We don't know exactly at the moment how this impacted on the reading rates. Obviously, one can say, well, yes, if young people bought books, well, they will read it, and so there will be an increase in reading rates. But this is not so easy to be measured. And also, these measures had an impact on the sales and market. This we can say yes, and I'm going to show this afterwards. And when there is another quite important issues, well, whether has been misuses of these measures. Let's say people used the money in the wrong ways. There was misuses of these measures. Well, this is a problem, obviously, but from our association point of view, this was not so important. It was more important that these measures were very important, and we ask strongly that they will be implemented and not reduced. The other important measures that were implemented in the last 2 years was this support for libraries. Libraries are an important part of our sector, obviously, and in 2020 there were ministerial decrees, and this is different from general law, contribution to libraries for book purchases. Obviously, libraries need to purchase books, to buy books, to renew their collections, and they more and more in the years they didn't have more money sufficient enough to buy new books. So in 2020 there was this decree that they devoted 30 million to the libraries to buy books, and this decree was renewed until 23, and then there was a change of government, and things changed. And another part of this decree was that this 30 million should be spent at least in this percentage, 70%, from local physical bookshops. So there was a measure also imagined to help physical bookshops and not online platforms. That's it. Because also the physical bookstores are a part of our sector that is in difficulties, and as Bruno showed in the first presentation, the rate of the market is lowering year by year. In 2024, there's been, from this point of view, a new decree. It's called the Olivetti Plan. Olivetti was an important entrepreneur in 20th century in Italy that devoted part of these incomes in promoting culture. And so this is an iconic name we use in Italy. This decree, the fresh decree of some weeks ago, devoted again an important sum of this 30 million in 2 years to libraries, so they can purchase book again. And this is obviously important for us. And this helped to also other 4 million euros were devoted from this decree to support the opening of new bookstores by young people up to 35 years. This also explains which is the approach of the government to help those let's say weak part of the chain of the sector. So libraries that if they don't have money for a purchase book, they can't implement the collection. And also the bookstores, the physical bookshop, mainly that are more and more lowering in number and and the incomes, and so they are. The government decided to support the opening of new bookstores with this special attention to young people up to 35 years. So also about these measures, there are issues, obviously. The one I underlined is what about the other weak players of of our sector, in particular as I represent small and medium publishers in Italy. Well, I think we need as well some kind of support, and we'll discuss which kind of support is possible to, and it's correct to devote to this part of the sector. And well, this is another. Another issue, we are obviously we work in a free market. It's not a market subsidized by the government, and so which is the balance between a market that is a free market with no rules imposed by the government and the public support intervention in this kind of sector. And we come back to this definition of the importance of reading because of this is for the wellness of people, and so if this is so important, is it correct or not that there is the public intervention in this market? And so this is the final slide. Do we need a book industry policy? I don't know in Taiwan if there is a book industry policy, and this is there are some points that I highlight here to open the discussion if you want. So, well, things that happened in the last years was establish this notion of cultural and creative industries. I don't know if this sounds somehow also in your country, in your system, but this is cultural and creative is terms that is being used also by the European Commission. For example, there are these grants and these programs that help cultural and creative sectors, and this is a list of these cultural and creative sectors: architecture, audiovisual, books and publishing, music, and performing arts. Books and publishing, as you can see, is one of these cultural and creative sectors. And also the Italian Trade Agency that hosts here has a special part of this their fund devoted to industria culturale e creative, creative and cultural industries. So this is the way we are, let's say, at least in Europe, we are now talking when this is the definition we use when we are talking about this. So books and publishing are part of this main cultural and creative sector, but there are some differences between, for example, between us and other sectors. For example, we very often compare us with cinema. Cinema, obviously, movies are it's not possible to, at least in Italy, to produce films without public support. There are not enough funding, apart from some special cases. So the government devote funding in very general, with very important funding for producing independent films and so on. And this is the same for other for performing arts, music, for example, or dance and so on. This is different for publishing. There is no help for producing books, why there is for producing a film, for example, a movie. So is this correct? Is not correct? Is this the correct way to approach this issue of helping book industry? And as I said before, which a government should support and intervene in the production of the cultural goods, or to help investment, so that the company can invest in the future, innovation and so on, and do their business with help on investment side, or government should support the purchase of goods. So, for example, if people go to cinema, the government helps people to buy the ticket to go to cinema. So all helps people to buy books or to go to see a theater spectacle. Is it correct? Is it better? Which is the effectiveness of these measures? Again, I don't know how it works in Taiwan, but it could be interesting having a confrontation about this. And obviously, in Europe, we discuss between the attitude of different governments on this, French and German in particular, but also Spain and UK. Another issue. Should we say, as Bruno underlined in his presentation, the book industry is the first cultural industry in Italy. So it's obviously is an honor for us to say this, and it's correct that we emphasize this as a history of success. But if we say, well, book industry is very strong, why should we ask for help from the government and help for a industry policy? Is it correct or not? Should we, on the contrary, highlight that there are some weaknesses of our sector? So there are some points, for example, independent bookstore or libraries that need help. And should we focus only on these weaknesses, or we should have a general policy to help the sector to continue to have success? In particular, obviously, again, on this point, I think we have a problem with small and medium. I don't know if you use this expression in Taiwan as well. This acronym SME means small and medium enterprises. It is used in Europe in several contexts. Well, in Italy, there is this substantial difference between the four main groups and all this world of small and medium enterprises, and that obviously have different problems, different budgets, and so on. In particular, we have a problem, as also again Bruno correctly expressed before, that the three of the four main groups operating in Italy also, and this is very different from other European countries, this doesn't happen in Germany or French or UK, also have their own bookstore chains that sell their books, also the other books, but obviously are focused on their production. And also the main logistic, let's say, operator in Italy, that's quite the only very big one, is part of this one of these four groups. So we cannot avoid to say that there is a problem of concentration that has been cannot be subestimated if you want to preserve the life and the success also of this world of small and medium enterprises. And this is the last point, unless you want to to discuss other points. Should we need for our sector comprehensive strategic visions? And to say, well, the book market should work this way, and there is a comprehensive law that regulates the main points of this sector, or it's correct, as we are now facing, to implement some measures when the government decides this is a point that is important, and so we devote funding in this particular point. And so there is measures for the internationalization, there are measures for the libraries and so on, but well, they come from different entities, and there are somehow fragmented and not so easy to be intercepted measures. So I hope that it has been interesting for you. I'm hoping to discuss if there are some points that were discussed before that if you want we can discuss either again. So if you are still interesting for you, and thank you for your attention.
Thanks for Lorenzo's sharing, because in Taiwan recently we also talk about the youth card, the youth culture card. We say 文化币 in Taiwan, and so we also discuss, should we give the money to the young people to buy books? And so it's a very interesting question, because we just started for a few years ago. So you think it really can help to growing the readership and to help the book market.
Yes, okay. No, this one. Okay, yes, this is a discussion. For the first point I didn't mention before, well, we are focusing on these young people that should be helped to read more, but well, this is a precise decision. A government can choose that this is important. Why this is so important that young people buy books and not. For example, we know that also that as Bruno said in his presentation, in Italy we have this strong reader part of the market is very important. We usually say that if there were not these strong readers, well, the situation could be much worse. And so maybe we need also to found elderly people to buy books. Why only the young people? Young people. Well, we can discuss. We can say that this measure of helping people, young people, 18 years old in particular, to buy books were very effective. Also in let's say in a marketing perspective, it's important that people in this age that maybe they read when they were younger, because parents bought a book for them, but when they become teenagers and so on, they stop to spend their money on buying books because there are other things they like more. In this way, maybe they can discover that reading a book, well, this is an experience, a very attractive experience. And when, for example, when we saw in the fairs that has been mentioned before, that are very important, so many people coming to young people coming to touch books and to discover this world. Well, we think this is a key moment of their age experience, and if they discover books in this age, that could be important. In this way, why to reserve this help only to a part of the 18 years old people, and why not to bring these measures to all the young people, while they are rich or not, while they are good students or not. Well, as an association, we strongly support that these measures turns to be universal and open to everyone. And well, this is a point I mentioned before. With this support to young people buying books and to the libraries purchasing books, the market that was lowering this year, we saw in 2024 that there has been a slight lowering of the market. This percentage will be positive if there were this support also in last year. Since this support was not effective, the market was lowering down. So one of the answers and the issues I mentioned, is this support important for the market? The answer is yes, because if the support was operative also last year, the market should be positive and not negative as it was shown before.
I think as a publisher, I think the two, if young people they don't read when they were if people they don't read when they were young, they will not read when they're getting old. So it's very important to help them to create this habit to read, to touch the real books and to feel it and to
That's it,
yeah. And also about the libraries, I found it's like 70% for the fund to buy the physical book from the independent bookshop.
Yes, it was a way to help a local and independent bookstore to have an important help for their incomes, because as we saw, it's very clear, the online, mainly since 2020 and the pandemic, took a big part of the market, and so they suffered a lot. People less and less go in the library, in a bookstore, to buy physically and to choose in this context the books. So it was a big help for bookshops, for physical bookshops. This way of, and we agree totally on this point. But obviously, well, the point in this is the dialectic with the independent bookstore is that, as Bruno said before, since there is we can say an oversized production of books in Italy, well, we produce too many books. Well, they can't stay physically in the independent bookstore, and so in this context, we are, as a small medium publisher, less and less. We have less and less even possibilities to show our production. So, and also from this point of view, we ask that this amount devoted to libraries is also careful to be spent on the production of the small and medium publisher, and not only of the big publishers. And on this point, we ask for a more careful measure that takes in account also this part of the problem.
I agree with you. So, any question for the Italian market? Yeah. I think as also in this three section, we've done many things about Italian market, about how after the pandemic, the market is growing, and for Taiwanese publisher, we are very jealous for the growing. Also, I think the translation, the market also growing, then also. We've done a lot from the public support, the importance of public support, and how to use it well. It's how to make we have a wider readership, and to make the market become healthier. It's very important.
Well, I don't see the point. Exactly what you want to know.
Just want to say it's very important to make the market become healthy and readership become healthier. It's kind of. Yeah.
Okay, great. We should. Okay. Okay.
So. Okay. If thanks for Lorenzo, and if anyone have no question, thanks for the three speakers. Thank you. Thank you.